Hello, I'm Luca, and coming up in Our Art podcast, Matt and Rachel chat with London-based visual artist Benjamin Sebastian about the family heritage reasons behind the decision to take up residency at our 1853 studios here in Oldham, Greater Manchester. They discuss Ben's art, inspirations, and most importantly, what's for tea. Welcome to Our Art podcast.
Our vibe! Our sass! Our art! Podcast!
My name is Benjamin Sebastian. I'm a visual artist and curator based in London. I was born in Australia and I'm turning 44 this summer, and I've now lived in the UK for coming up to 22 years. So I'm at that 50-50 point in the position between those two places.
Right. So you're an Australian living in London who's in Oldham. So that's the key question. That's the question. What you,
How did he get us? Yeah. This is what I want to know.
All right, so my dad and my granddad were both born in Oldham. And the project that I'm working on at the minute is looking into my paternal and maternal heritages and roots, basically. So my dad and my granddad were born here, but my mum and my mum's mum were born in Cairns, Australia. Right. But both of those families were used in colonial settler imperatives of the British Empire in colonizing Australia. So my mum's family ended up in Australia through the first fleets. And so, my mum's family are convict stock. And then my dad's family emigrated to Australia after the Second World War as part of the Pound POM assisted migration profile that Australia initiated. So Oldham, I'm here because of my dad and my granddad, his dad. I didn't know much about Oldham, and as soon as anyone kind of scratches the surface and does a little bit of digging into Oldham and its location and its histories, I mean, one of the primary things that comes up is the milling. The milling industry and the Industrial Revolution and everything that took place in relation to that. Here with that, so when I found out that there was a studio and gallery complex that was coming together that was situated in a mill, it kind of made perfect sense that this would be somewhere that I could, at that point, hopefully position myself, because I hadn't reached out to Rachel yet, and use it as a seat to look into whatever was going to come through my practice.
Because I have met you previously.
Yes.
About 5 years ago. 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yes.
And I remember you. And when you emailed us, immediately I was like, yeah. Luca was going, what? And I just said, no, we're having him, whatever, we're having him. He's coming in.
So I seem to have this thing in my life where northern men are just prevalent. So my dad and my granddad are from Oldham, but also two of my exes, the chap that I moved to England for, was living in Manchester. My best mate was living in Manchester at one point, and my ex Jonathan, who I met Rachel through Johnny's family in Altrincham,
that's right. That's correct. Yep.
Was his family were also based here, so it's keep returning.
And I go to my friend's house, Louise, and your artwork is still there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They've still got the artwork, and I was like, yeah.
But there are, like, let's just get a little bit, mystical and all that about it. But there are things in life like that, aren't there?
Absolutely.
That for whatever reason, your ancestry is partly from here, and there's obviously been things pulling you into this area. And so, what effects has it had on you and your work then since you've been here? What's the story with all that?
What's influenced you really with it? What do you think?
That's still a big question for me. I feel a sense of alienation here, but I'm really interested in that because I also feel a sense of alienation in Australia. And they're for very different reasons. That feeling of alienation is for very specific and different reasons in both these geographies. I have a connection to Oldham, and yet I don't. I was born in the northeast coast of Australia, and then also in Australia, I have this deep connection to place, and yet it's not my place. So I think those two alienations are very important and interesting to me, and I really feel like that's what I'm trying to work with. But it's all very much still questions at this point. But yeah.
Yeah, when we met briefly in the meeting last week, and you were telling us about why you're here and what you're looking into, and that sort of sense of identity and history and heritage and what it means to be you, basically, because you have this unique heritage that nobody else. We all have our own little unique heritage, don't we? And I've been working on a project called My Northern Roots at the moment, which is similar, like about why is Oldham here. There's all kinds of exploitation and colonialism and really dark stories, and you can kind of get a little bit down into that and a little bit, and you can feel affected by it. But at the same time, we're just here. What does that mean now? What does it mean for the future? What lessons can we learn from our past and where we are? And it's fascinating. And I think you're similar age to me. I think you get to a certain point in your life, these things start to, I don't know. They start to niggle at you, don't they? You want to know more, and I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it just starts to do? I don't know. What do you feel about identity? Where are you going with it? Do you think? I mean, how has it affected you?
I was watching an interview with Tilda Swinton last night, and it struck me that they said something. I'm paraphrasing now, but they said something along the lines of I have a problem or a dislike with the idea of identity and attempting to identify. They said that they feel that we're so much more dynamic than these boxes that we try and put each other and put ourselves in terms of identity. And it really resonated with me. As a queer person, as a non-binary person, I've always found myself kind of switching between positions on a lot of identitarian aspects, and between Britain and Australia, I have this image of a person with tree roots, trying to put those tree roots down every time they're walking, and one hand reaching back into the past and one hand reaching into the future, and constantly kind of looking in all of these directions, and the fingers being these feelers, trying to make sure that we're finding what's been occluded in the past, and we're like manifesting what's coming in the future, and the whole time trying to belong somewhere. So again, it's a question to me. I really don't know how I feel about identity. I've always approached it in quite a strategic way. If someone's told me I am something, I'll strategically say, well, and I'll challenge or I'll question that. Whereas if I need to identify as something for my own well-being or for solidarity reasons with others, I'll staunchly claim a position. But I kind of ebb and flow with these things quite a lot, actually.
Is that one of the? Is it, like, generally speaking, what is it that influences the art that you do? Is it a broad church, or is this part of it? Or
this is definitely part of it. I still ask myself that question, like, what makes me make, or what am I making about? What I've understood up until this point is, for me, it's all a process of manifesting, and I mean that in esoteric and magical terms. Actually, it's about bringing something into being that wasn't there previously, and that could be in making space, like gallery spaces or studio spaces, or creating programs and curating and those curatorial forms, or performances and the more ephemeral artworks, and then also these objects that we bring in. And I just think it really is such a magical process to me, because we imagine something, we hold that picture in our mind, and then we set about making that reality. And to me, that is entirely a magical process.
I get that completely.
That's the creative side, isn't it?
Yeah.
Total the creative side.
Well, I think when you talk about identity and belonging and stuff, like for me, it's like where you feel you belong is where you feel comfortable, and sometimes you have to create that space to feel comfortable in, and sometimes you can, I lived in Dublin for 10 years and I never really settled there.
You didn't?
I'm sure that I had some ancestral karma to work out or something while I was over there, because I won't go into it, but it was all very weird. I mean, I've got a little story, but I went to Ireland, so I married an Irish girl, but the first time I went over to see her, I went wearing a British Army jacket.
Wow.
Right? And I never, but I was like 25, and I'm like I used to wear this camo jacket all the time, and it was just a British Army jacket. I never thought anything of it. Got on the boat, got there, got to the hotel, went into the bar, and then this guy's like, comes up to me and says, "Oh, the snipers are in." And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't even so I went upstairs and took it off, but it was like really shocked me, because from that point I'd not thought about, because we don't learn, do we? We don't learn about in Britain, about the British influence in Ireland. And you walk into a hotel. I could have got a bottle put across my head or anything, or whatever. This guy was like, I think he sussed me as just some dumb kid who was wearing a jacket. And then I realised, and that was a really sort of profound moment, really, that it's you've got to know places, you've got to know these things, haven't you? You can't just walk into an Irish pub with a British jacket.
You're
can't.
absolutely right. Like, we don't learn these things.
I was ignorant, honestly.
I remember being taught the founding of Australia at school, and I remember a textbook image of a British naval captain in full regalia shaking the hand of an indigenous First Nationer on a beach front. And, we're taught that it was just this, oh, hi, we've arrived, like, shake hands.
Thanks for coming.
Contemporary Australia. Yeah. And, we weren't taught about the massacres that took place. We weren't taught about how violent and vicious and eroding that process of colonization was. We were just taught about federation.
Yeah.
And founding. And isn't that a wonderful thing? Because here we are today. Look at our beautiful society. And I think you're absolutely right. When we're not taught these things, I remember going into the National Portrait Gallery in London just a couple of years ago, and they had one of the elite. They had a portrait of one of the elite members of the East India Trade Company. And the caption of this portrait said, "Oh, the East India Company traded in spices and fabrics and dyes," and I was like, and people and slaves. But that wasn't present in the information. And they've done this huge rehang, and power to the institution. No, never power to the institution. I'm glad that they've had this move. There's now so much more information on who those people were and what that company was and what it did and what was involved. And the labor force and the bodies and the people that were actually stolen and abused and used as a biopower and a labor force. But you're right, we're not taught these things, and it's so important to know.
Yeah.
It's like the building of this mill, isn't it? Where all that came from, isn't it? It's all the cotton, all that. 90% came through, like, from Liverpool to here. And that's just built on slave trade.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's all around. You can't get away from it.
It feels like, I mean, it's not like this is, it's a bit of secret, all this stuff. For a long time. But at the same time, it kind of is, because there are people who have grown up in Britain, British colonies, that haven't been educated in this way, and it really has sort of like since the last sort of 10 years or whatever. For me, it was during lockdown when a lot of this stuff really started to play on my mind. A lot of the stuff that was happening in America with Black Lives Matter and Trump and this kind of like rise of the far right and stuff, and I'm really glad that it's starting to be properly addressed, but I'm interested in how other Australians or people like yourself feel about that in the colonies, if you like, in Australia with that heritage, and how it, people talk a lot about white guilt and all that kind of stuff, don't it?
Is it still bubbling underneath?
Oh my God, absolutely. So when I moved to the UK from Australia, Cairns is quite a regional place. It feels incredibly cosmopolitan because it's the seat of the Great Barrier Reef and it's the seat of the Daintree rainforest. Yeah. And we have we've always had a huge international tourist trade. So it feels like the world is in your little city, little town, but it's really quite regional. It's very prevalent. I was growing up as a queer kid, and I never felt safe to come out as queer when I was young, but also the racism that was so evident and so present just in daily life was rife. And I would argue that both homophobia and racism still are. However, it is everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere, and this isn't just in Australia. But I think these are ongoing issues that we all have to reckon with on an hourly and a daily basis, whether it's happening directly to us as individuals or if it's happening to someone beside us. It's all of our responsibility.
Because the thing is, I think we especially when we're kids, because like the summer holidays feel like forever when you're a kid, don't they? So to think back to like the 1800s and your great grandparents and all this, it feels like forever and a million years ago. But when you get older, you realise it's just no time whatsoever. We're so close to those people that really we've not had enough time for things to really change, have we? Because we've only gone through a few generations. Things are changing but then you go to other parts of the world in other countries and maybe things aren't quite as it's really interesting challenge for our times, for sure.
Of course it is.
It absolutely is.
Of course it is.
I do agree that change takes time, and sometimes I get a bit nervous because I feel like people who really require change are quite often told that, well, it will take time. And I think we can all relate to the idea if we need something rather than want. If we need something, we need that now. So being told that something takes time, I think, can be incredibly frustrating and possibly depoliticizing somehow.
My Northern Roots is a podcast series inspired by a letter sent to the Oldham Chronicle titled Beautiful Oldham, Why Not? By Mary Higgs in 1901. Mary had a vision that the dirty, smoky industrial town she moved to in the 19th century could still be made beautiful, and now, as Oldham continues to change, I agree with her. My name is Matt Dean, and in this podcast I share my journey through a lottery heritage project with Northern Roots Oldham, a journey which has made me think about where I'm from, what the future holds, and asks Mary's question again. Beautiful Oldham, why not? My Northern Roots podcast is out now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
But I just wanted to come back to this idea of belonging. Like, there's a beach in my hometown, Cairns, called Buchan's Point. I'm not sure of that particular location's indigenous name. The island off the coast. That island is of super importance to the indigenous people of the region that I grew up in, because it's the resting place of the rainbow serpent, Guju Guju. And so it's, when you look at it in profile, it looks like a donut. In profile, and it's where Guju Guju, the rainbow serpent, curled up and went to sleep after they created all of the cosmos and the rivers and the mountains and carved these things out through its movement. And the body of this like creator god is just there off the coast, and that beach is of quite deep cultural importance to me as a queer person, because it's a queer cruising space. It's a nudist beach as well. So I have a contemporary cultural connection to that geography that's really quite profound to me as an individual, and yet it's in such close proximity to a landmass. Well, actually, all of the landmass always was, always will be Indigenous land, and so it's about, for me, I'm attempting to engage with how does one belong in as a post-colonial body under this reign of colonialism. Because we've all become these hybrids, and it's really quite monstrous, and yet also beautiful somehow. I'm not sure. I get very stuck here, but this is the area that I'm really, really interested in. It's like who are we as post-colonial bodies in this due to like settler colonialism.
Well, the facts are that we are born wherever we're born, and whatever the circumstances are the circumstances that have created us. It's really about what do we do now, and how do we deal with the, especially once you've got the power and once you've got the knowledge and the understanding, what do you do next with it? And there is always that struggle, isn't there, between those who want to keep the status quo, use it to their advantage, and then the people who want to challenge it. And we've got the election coming up now. We've got people like Farage who I just cannot stand. What do we do? And I think probably because this is an art podcast, what does art do? And is it doing enough? Things like music and art and the creative. What. Do we have a responsibility any more or any less than anybody else? And what should we be doing to challenge this kind of rhetoric and places like Oldham in particular are vulnerable because they're used because we've got so many different cultures. Yes. They're used as divide and conquer. They all kind of like I don't know if it may be a rhetorical question, but I don't know if you've got any thoughts on it.
When it comes to responsibility, I'm kind of a dyed-in-the-wool anarchist.
Cool.
I feel like right now I have a responsibility to the both of you. I have a responsibility to myself, and I have a responsibility to the two of you, because this is the temporary community that I'm in now. When we separate, I don't have responsibility to either of you anymore, but I'm then on the tram heading back into central Manchester. I have responsibility to that environment and those people and how I'm engaging with them. So for me, again, it's quite fluid. And I think, yes, responsibility is absolutely important, but what do we mean by that? I have responsibility to myself, and that responsibility for me is to live as fully as I can, and to really search in myself to find who and what and how I am and can be. And that's my responsibility. And I would say that then, by extension, my artworks and my art practice and my artistic processes are also an exploration of that attitude as well.
And have you found being in the studio, has that taken you anywhere? Has that shocked you what you found, or has something took you by surprise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought the works that I was going to be making were going to be much more personal. Like I really zoomed in. I zoomed in on my paternal lineage, and I zoomed in on my maternal lineage, and I zoomed in on Cairns, and I zoomed in on Oldham, and I zoomed in on that colonial settler history. And actually what has been happening since I got here was the reverse.
It's completely
I've
different.
been zooming out immensely. So rather than the focus being on those paternal and maternal lineages and Oldham and Cairns, it's actually becoming much more about the land masses in both hemispheres, and actually my family are fading out of it, and I've started to work with animals. So I'm working with crows and butterflies and snakes. So I'm working with the Teresian crow in Australia and the carrion crow here, and then the Ulysses butterfly in Australia, and the Adonis blue here, and the adder snake and the carpet python. And I'm creating these kind of hybrid mythical creatures that are half and half, like two-headed, zero-tailed snakes. And
I saw a bit of that when we came in, and it is completely different to what you said you were going to do. And it's just, I think that's quite cool though, that it is good.
Absolutely. It's gone on a total tangent. Like there's one photograph of my granddad and my dad and his siblings in the rainforest in Tully, Australia, which is where they would later build their house, their home. And that photographic image has actually made it into one of the artworks. I've stitched it into one of the works I'm making. But it's the title of that for me is the most poignant thing, which is I've forgotten it now. The seemingly innocent and not without danger. So it's this little black and white photograph of my granddad, my dad, and his two brothers, all huddled together with a rainforest backdrop. And then what I've done is I've been chopping up some synthetic Australian and British flags, and I've been putting all the blue parts together and the white parts together and the red parts together. So I've created these like patchwork chunks of material in those colors, and then I've been stitching those. So stitching the chunks of blue onto chunks of cotton calico. They've become the base of the work. So I'm interested in this like natural fiber and this synthetic fiber, and the cotton that has that's very much a link to the milling industries here, but also it's calico, which originates from in India, and so again it's like another one of the empire's colonies. So I think there's all of these kind of really nuanced ways that the work is still very much looking at empire and its reach and its damage and its violence and its impact, but in a much more abstracted and poetic way.
What do you think is one of your breakthrough moments being here with your work? Do you think you've found something, or you've gone, ooh?
I'd already started to sew on this project before I got here. But when I got here, I was just like, well, this just makes so much sense. Like the sewing aspect of the work. It's just like, well, this is what this is. And I think every single work that I'm going to be making now is going to be stitched. And so I think that's been very, very useful to know. But also, I experienced this really profound alienation to the mechanical heritage here in Oldham, and all of the engineering and the machinery. It really rutted up against what I was doing in a way that I didn't really expect. But then once I started to find out that I was going to be working with the animals, and then looking to the land, I'm now also looking to gold and coal as well. So the minerals of these places as well, because gold's quite rich in abundance in Australia. We had like the gold rushes over there as part of the colonial history as well. And then here all of the peat and the coal histories and the mining histories. So I think those processes of abstraction. So when you look at some of these works, you might not instantly see Cairns or Oldham or my mum or my dad or my granddad or my grandma, and yet it's all there. It's all there. And I think coming back to the more mystical or esoteric, for me, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in things that we can't quite grasp or that have an aura or that allude to something but don't quite say it, or those things just beyond our reason or just beyond our speech or just beyond our reach. So I'm trying to work there. Whether I'm succeeding or not is
But that's good. That's good. Like good progression.
Yeah.
You're not staying in one spot, though, are you?
No.
And that's so cool. That's good to have that, though, isn't it?
It is.
It'll take you much further.
It's a very uncomfortable space
Yes.
for me. I'm quite a bit of a control freak, and that comes from anxiety and a need for security. I'm neurodivergent, and I really need to know. Like the first thing I did when I got here was like set up the studio, and that like environment to me is very important. I need to feel like I know where I am and what I'm
Gotta be
doing. Yeah, it's a security thing for me, and I have a very low tolerance level for interruption into that space of security. Like I'm working at Whitechapel Gallery at the minute as part of my master's degree.
Yeah.
We do a professional placement there, and all of the internal systems and structures are just so alien to me. And I almost had a proper full-blown anxiety attack on my first day of placement there, because I just felt so out of control, and it was all just so deeply unknown. And
What were they trying to do? Were they just, you have to do certain things,
it's
or
just
the rules?
it's just anything that is done in the way it's done there, I would do differently.
Yes.
And, you know, that's just life, isn't it? But I think as a neurodivergent person, particularly someone, you know, I've been freelance and self-employed for the best part of like the last decade and a half, and you learn to inhabit the worlds that you create, and then when you have to step into other ones, it's very challenging.
Yes, it is.
For anyone. And then I think for the neurodivergent or the neuroatypical, it's even more of a challenge. And so
It's like me doing the like accounts and
stuff. Oh my God, don't talk to me. I
have to hand it over to someone or I'll just cry.
Yeah. Not for me.
There you go.
I mean, numbers in general. No. Other than like geometry, I love working with shapes and patterns.
Yes.
But outside of that, numbers and we're not friends.
No, we're not. I totally. Spreadsheets. What are those?
No.
I think no.
No, it's not. And 100%. But I get that with being self-employed, and it's that you take that. And not just being self-employed, but when you're a creative type of person, you're like, I totally empathise with that. I like this piece, you know, you commented on this place when you came. I want to create my space, and and then I can work. I hate mess. I hate things being out of place. Like, if this is going to be my workspace, it has to be like that. I know.
You don't want to go in my studio. It's a disgrace.
We're all different. We're all different, though. You feel comfortable with it, I'm sure.
Put myself to shame.
But the one question I wanted to ask you is like about, because we were talking about identity. So I think what I mean about that, I'm not one of these persons who identify. I'm from, you know, it's about for me, it's about where I feel comfortable. It's like it's more a connection to something, or a connection to a place, or a connection to a people, and then I feel like
we did when you came in here, wasn't it? We discussed that before. It was just instantly I'm having a space.
Yeah,
it felt right,
exactly.
And you felt right. For me, it felt right. You were here.
I very much go off my gut. One more than my head. If something feels right, then I'll go. If something feels like it's not right, then I won't. Like, you know, I make a decision on people and places. So there are a lot of places I've been around the world, completely random, that I feel really comfortable in, or that I feel really uncomfortable in. I feel connected to or disconnected to. So just as someone who's got, you know, family history and roots here, what do you feel like when you're in Oldham? Have you connected to it or not? Is this the first time you've been here, or had you been here before?
Yeah. Do you feel like your family's sort of, your ancestors are sort of there, or any? You know,
it's the first time I've been to Oldham. My dad came to visit me a few years ago, and I was living in Folkestone at the time, and he came to stay with us, and he was like, "I'm going up to Oldham. I've never been. I want to go." My dad was 6 when he left England, and the family immigrated to Australia. And I was like, oh no, I don't think I'll come on that trip. I hadn't embarked on this particular aspect of this journey yet. And so he came up here and did his thing. But I've never been here specifically. I've been to Manchester.
You've been to Manchester.
Like I was saying, northern men seem to be a recurrent theme for me. So Manchester, a lot. Oldham, no. When I got here, I went straight into Oldham, the centre of Oldham, and had a walk around. Kind of just drifted through the town and walked by the cathedral. Went and had a look at the gallery. Popped into like a local chippy, got some fish and chips. Went and had a coffee in like a little cafe, and just drifted. You know, a little bit of psychogeography, and just kind of trying to physically feel where I was, located like a little gay bar, and it was closed, didn't go there. But as soon as I arrived, the first thing, and I haven't actually done this yet, but the first thing, the draw for me was the moors. As soon as I got here, I wanted to get out, and not because I didn't want to be here, but the draw was the moors. And I haven't actually gone out there yet. I got stuck in the studio. As soon as I got into the studio, I was just like, I don't know, I just started making, and I get a bit compulsive with my work sometimes. And I haven't actually gone out. You know, I keep doing all of this research, and I'm on my phone, and I'm on my computer, and I'm doing all this research. I'm looking into Pete, and I'm looking into Cole, and I'm looking into Heather, and I'm looking, you know, I want to go out to the what's the reserve called? Dovestone. I want to go to the Pots and Pans. I want to go out to Saddleworth Moss. But I haven't. I got stuck into the studio, and then particularly with sewing, it's like so repetitive.
Yes, it is.
And suddenly it's like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm still here. So I think for me, I always feel more comfortable outside of built up urban environments. Wherever I am, I will find a body of water, or I'll find a forest, or I'll find...
Yeah, because it's your Australian, it's your background there, isn't it? Your open spaces.
I want to find open land or open water, and that will always be my draw. And in terms of identifying, that's where I feel comfortable. To come back to this idea of where you feel comfortable, where you feel content. For me, forests and bodies of water, and in a different way, the beach, like I'm very much a sun worshipper. Like if I can just lie on a rock or the sand in the sun, I'll do it. But there's something about the water, being in water. I'm an avid swimmer, and being in forest and forest bathing as well. That's where I feel content. That's where I feel connected. And so maybe I identify with water, and maybe I identify with forests. And there is something, again, quite alienating about the moors. Like I have been up here hiking around, is it Todmorden, and Hebden Bridge. Like I've done quite a few ramblings and walking around there. And I do find a sense of alienation in the landscape here, because it's so open, and because there is less water as well, actually. And so I think, but again, that's very interesting to me. Even though I'm drawn into those spaces, they feel not empty. They feel expansive in a way where it's different to water. Although water is expansive, I feel part of it and enveloped in it. And the same with forests. I feel part of it and enveloped in it. When I'm on the moors, I feel like I'm on the moors. I feel like I'm out and on, as opposed to in.
Because for me, I love this part of the country. I do feel connected here. I love the hills. I love the moors. I love how bleak they are.
I
love
think
being
that absolutely frightens me.
But I like that about it.
find that
It is quite unsettling,
Yes.
but I
It
like
is
that. I
unsettling.
like that
So do I.
unsettling,
Yeah.
especially when it's foggy, or you
Yes.
can go from
Yes.
just
Yeah.
it's just creepy. I really like it, but. When I find if I spend like a prolonged period down south or something, I don't know. It's like when I get back up here and I get back up to the hills and I do feel more home, and it's just
I do,
it's not
yeah.
like that. It's just a feeling, like you know what I mean. And so I wondered if maybe like you connected to the geography or anything like that. Just a comfortable feeling. Like I think you've probably explained it, but
I connect to the openness, and I connect to the potential of solitude, and as you were saying, Rachel, earlier, like I think that it really does have something to do with growing up in Australia.
Yeah.
Australia is this enormous landmass with relatively a tiny population.
Yes.
And over here, we're in a tiny landmass
Yes.
with an enormous
Enormous,
population.
yes.
Yeah.
So where I grew up, I could be in a land mass. I could be
Wow.
in open land and just not see other people.
You won't see anybody.
Just not see other people. If I could go for a walk in the forest, go for a walk up a mountain, go for a walk at the beach, go for a swim somewhere, I might not see another person depending where I go.
Wow.
And that could be for a day. That could be for multiple days if you went camping. Whereas here, even if I went for a walk,
You still see.
even if I went up to Pots and Pans, like guarantee I'm going to see some ramblers. But in relation to being down south and being in London, there is an openness up here that I absolutely long for, and I get so claustrophobic in the cities. And what I've realised is actually Manchester's not a very green city, is it?
No, it's not.
No, and so I have felt quite claustrophobic in Manchester, less so in Oldham, because actually it's high.
Yes.
It's on a hill.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got a building in the way, you can see the horizon.
Yeah.
And that's important to me.
Yeah.
Being able to see the horizon and not having that sight line interrupted by something it really feeds my soul.
This is something that I think is really interesting. When you look at Native Americans, Native Indigenous Australians, and the connection that people had to Earth, to those feelings, very, very basic things like being able to see the horizon and having space and not being overcrowded and putting ourselves into, we've put ourselves into this completely unnatural way of living. Like we've evolved for hundreds of thousands of years to live a certain way, and now all of a sudden, like within the last couple of 100 years, we've just thrown ourselves into a completely different style of living, and that just completely goes against our natural instincts. And yet we're not even encouraged to think about it. But when you articulate those things, I think you're articulating the sort of the spirit of Indigenous people everywhere, because we're all Indigenous people to Earth, but we've disconnected from those things, haven't we? Massively.
Well, that's something else I'm very interested in here, like the indigeneity of Britain, of England. Like, who are we and were we as a people, the people of this island? Of course, everyone's always from elsewhere as well. We've been roaming for time immemorial as humans. But I do feel like the indigeneity of this island has been occluded and eroded by other types of settler colonialism,
It goes back
the Romans,
thousands of years
in particular. So I'm very interested in that, but I'm also interested in this myth of the wild and the myth of like the land. The moors, they would have been forests, but we needed livestock grazing land. Well, not we. Livestock grazing land was required, so forests were felled. And so I think there's very few, if any, untouched environments, and what we consider to be natural is
Yes.
really not. It's had the hand of people,
Yeah.
but then that is natural because we are also animals. I guess that's what I'm trying to play with the synthetic material and the cotton, is that juxtaposition between those two things, but they're in our world now, and I'm stitching them together, and they create this Frankenstein thing, which in its own right is perfect and something unique, but it has difference, and there is a historical narrative to that difference, and I think focusing on that and interrogating that is important.
I think for me, it's a question of responsibility. I think when taking responsibility, where we are in Oldham, we just massacred this land. We chopped it up, we knocked it down, we built in it, we polluted it, we did everything awful to it, and we took absolutely no responsibility for the natural balance of things. And now that's what we need to get back to. But it's incredibly difficult to change people's minds to go back to something that should be the most natural thing in the world. It's a really interesting position as a species that we've got ourselves into, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the one difference for me is I have zero interest in going back. I'm not interested in returning to a nostalgic position, or I want to be here now and move forward. But again, that image of like absolutely having one arm or ear or eye or all of these things tuned backwards, but while moving forward and being very present in the here and the now. We need to understand what has come before us in many respects, but ultimately I'm concerned with being present now and what's ahead of us, because we can change how what has happened has been recorded, but we can't change what has happened. But what we can do is educate ourselves and educate others and make sure that colonial empirical narratives are kind of edited to make sure that those that lost wars and had to surrender resources and privilege and land and lives are given platform and given and brought back into the center of these narratives. But really, I'm interested in being here today, now, and what's ahead of me and us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
Can you describe in 3 words Oldham?
Oldham, 3 words.
Yeah, your experiences of Oldham in 3 words.
The 3 things that instantly come to mind are heather, owl, and horizon. But that's because I am just fascinated by heather, and I think I want to make some dye out of it.
Oh, cool.
The owl, because Oldham's owl.
Yes.
Yes. And then the horizon, because every time I'm in Oldham, I'm glimpsing past things to the horizon across the moors. I'm not sure if they're the best 3 for.
But I think that when if you think of those 3 things and I think that sounds like a really pleasant. That that sounds really good.
Yes.
So I'm happy as an Oldhamer, someone who's really like happy to be here and he's an advocate for all the good things about it. I like those descriptions.
Yeah.
I'm happy with
Beautiful
that.
horizon over there, isn't it? When you look out all over Manchester.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Looking out through the mill windows to the cityscape, it's incredible.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
It's 7 miles, isn't it, from here?
Yeah.
To Manchester, isn't
7
it?
miles, yeah.
7 miles,
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, though. You enjoyed it.
It's been absolutely fantastic, and it's been so productive for me. I have no idea how I'm getting all this stuff back down to London without damaging it, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, you're going to put
I was going to frame all those large diamond things, wasn't I? But
just ring that guy.
No, because then I'm going to have to try and get these giant diamond frames. I can at least roll the calico back up.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Well, apparently I didn't either.
No, it didn't. Oh, well, never mind. Put it in your suitcase with your sewing machine.
Yes.
Yeah,
Back on the road, yeah.
So, do you want to plug yourself, your wares, what you do, or anything like that? You know, I don't know where people can find more about your work and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm very much online. You can check out all of the bits and bobs of my practice on my website, which is benjamin-sebastian.com. I'm all over Instagram, which I believe is IMBSebastian. Actually, not sure. Go to the website. Go to the website for sure. And I've got 2 exhibitions coming up at the end of this year, where a lot of this new body of work will be exhibited. And I'm talking to Rachel and Luca about coming back up here.
Oh, brilliant!
Early next year, next year in April as well. Cool. But the first 2 exhibitions for this will be at Herbert Reed Gallery in Canterbury in October time, and then in CT20, which is a gallery in Folkestone, and that will be in November.
KUPOD is Oldham's only professional podcast production company. This year we produced a variety of shows with Northern Roots Oldham, Oldham Community Radio and fantastic local charity Little Ladylocks. We've helped local businesses like NB Dog Training, 1853 Studios and Billingtons produce their very own podcasts. Be sound with KUPOD. Visit kupod.co.uk.
I'm going to have to say it.
You're going to have to.
What are you having for your tea tonight, sweetie?
Well, I'm having for tea. I am having tuna steaks.
So jealous of this.
And coriander and lime rice.
What are you having, babe?
Yeah, I'm hopeless, aren't I? I never know what I'm having for my tea. I'm having jacket potato tonight.
That's right.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Really?
I'm not a big potato fan, but because when I was a student, that's what I lived off. So I'm not a big potato person.
Where do you two stand on the folklore that this is where fish and chips were invented?
It's where the first potato was supposedly fried. Did you see the blue plaque?
Really?
Yeah,
outside Levers.
Yeah, chips.
Yeah. And Oldham has been living a healthy lifestyle ever since. That's why everyone you see in Oldham is so trim and athletic looking, because of our fast food history. But yeah, apparently, there's a blue plaque there.
Yeah, well,
cool.
So
I mean, I had some fish and chips. It was damn good. Yeah. Yeah, tuna and coriander lime rice for me tonight.
That's really nice. That's pretty cool.
What are you on, Rach? You know,
I'm on my own tonight, I think. So it's just going to be a ready meal. It's really boring, really, isn't it?
Oh, needs must.
Cooking for one's a bit of a pain, though, isn't it?
Just I'll make myself a salad. I'll have a salad with it. So that's okay.
But that's why I'm having what I'm having, because I'm making the effort. Otherwise, I'd literally just have a banana.
Yeah.
Yes, I really have to make an effort to cook when I'm by myself.
When you're by yourself,
I flip into absolute solo. What's the gender neutral term for bachelor? Bachelor.
I know what you mean. Because if I'm on my own, so I just thought, well, just get ready.
It's one or the other when you're on your own. You either just really have a banana, or you think, right, you really go for it.
That's my plan this evening.
Nobody will know.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to spoil myself. I deserve it. So that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, listen, I think we've obviously come to the end, haven't we? Now we know what everyone's having for tea. That signifies the end of the podcast. But
always
fascinating discussion, I think.
No, it's brilliant. Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah, thank you so much for suggesting we have the chat, and thank you for having me here. It's been so generative for me. Thank you.
No, I really enjoyed you being there. It's been like a bit of breath of fresh air. It is, because you've just got so much energy. And
you hear that, everyone? A breath of fresh air.
And you were really enjoyed the studio, and you came up with so many different ideas. It's fabulous.
Yeah, I really hit the ground running.
And, if you feel like doing an exhibition that isn't all the way down in Kent sometime, that would be really nice as well. Let us know. We'll come and see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't get much further away from here, really.
I am actually looking for some more exhibition partners, and I would love to have some more up here as well. So, give us a call.